Some choices haunt you forever, especially when kids are involved. I was dealing weed, introduced by my girlfriend's friend to her neighbors. They were 50-something hippies, cool vibes, always paying full price for bud. A couple months in, they got chattier, opening up when we dropped off their stash. One day, the woman mentioned she had custody of her granddaughter. Her daughter was locked up in a women's prison, leaving the kid behind. The girl looked 15 but acted like a 6-year-old, clearly struggling with something. Then she dropped a bomb. They were abusing her Adderall prescription. 30-milligram extended-release pills, meant for her, were dumped into a bowl. They'd snort the beads when meth ran dry, replacing them with Benadryl. It was to make the kid sleep, they said, like it was no big deal. I stumbled out of there, heart pounding, hands trembling in my car. As a father of 2, I'd never felt such raw disgust and horror. I could barely type to Google CPS, goosebumps prickling my scalp. Evil like that, I'd only seen in movies, never face to face. I made the call, anonymous, praying that girl got the help she needed. I was 18, deep in my own addiction, selling coke and heroin. One client, a young mom, shook her crying baby right in front of me. I lost it, snatched the kid from her arms, and dumped $500 worth of drugs. From my car, I called 911, heart racing, knowing I was risking everything. She didn't fight until the cops showed up, then tried to sue me for kidnapping. Stupid move on my part, but that baby was in bad shape. The doctor found bruises, burns, 2 broken ribs. He was barely hanging on. I'm convinced she'd have killed him if I hadn't acted. He's 10 now, thriving with his aunt, my old neighbor. I visit twice a year. He thinks I'm a cousin, clueless about his birth mom. The legal mess she dragged me into pushed me to get sober. The cops pieced together what I was doing there. I wasn't a great liar. They let it slide, made me call my parents for a plane ticket home. That kid and I saved each other, in a way. This was 20 years ago, when I was a small-time pot dealer. I hooked up with a girl who started buying from me. One morning, I woke up at her place to a naked 3-year-old running around. No diaper, no nothing, even by 1 p.m., just chaos. Her mom and boyfriend were passed out in the living room, high on heroin. The kid was filthy, neglected, with only scraps of food to survive on. The girl I was with acted like it was normal, which broke me. It wasn't just the nudity, it was the neglect, the dirt, the hopelessness. I called CPS that day, shaken to my core. A few days later she called, saying she was pregnant and needed to crash with me. I cut her off, never heard from her again. I hope that kid found a better life, but I'll never know. Back when I was a mess, trapped in an abusive relationship, I dealt drugs. I called CPS on 6 clients, but one couple haunts me most. We'd meet at a laundromat, but eventually I went to their place. I was floored. The house was gutted, no carpet, no walls, no electricity. They'd ripped out copper wiring and pipes, squatting in a shell of a home. In a corner, a nest of blankets hid a toddler and a 5-year-old, filthy and starving. I'd never known they had kids until those blue eyes stared at me. The stench of meth made me gag. The parents barely noticed. I called CPS before I even shut my car door, spilling every detail. The kids went to a relative. The parents went to jail for squatting. Later, my boyfriend sold to them again. They were living in a tent with the kids. I was disgusted, fought with him, and called CPS again. The kids were taken for good. The mom got prison for attempted murder. The dad followed for check fraud. I dealt weed, shrooms, ecstasy, not meth, but I still carry the weight. In the late 90s, I sold weed part-time while in college. A regular sister became a client, and I delivered to her place once. Her house was a nightmare. Cockroaches everywhere, pure filth. She had 3 kids, 2 toddlers and an infant, living in that mess. It wasn't just the drugs, it was the neglect, the squalor. I called CPS, not because of the weed, but because those kids deserved better. It caused a mess for her and her boyfriend. They were in the system for years. I don't know how it ended, but that house still haunts my dreams. I left anonymous CPS tips twice, as a pot dealer, knowing they're hard to act on. One kid I reported was later fostered, adopted, and graduated trade school. I don't know about his siblings, but I pray they made it too. Kids get one childhood. Don't let stupidity or cruelty steal it. When you call CPS, flood them with details. Vague tips don't cut it. I was a buyer once, meeting a dealer who brought her kid in a stroller. She walked to the meetup, a stranger, with her toddler in tow. I texted her later, warning her how dangerous that was. She said it was her only way to buy food, no other choice. Another time, I saw a missing teen at a dealer's house, a creepy guy. I'm 99% sure he was abusing that kid, decades older than her. I reported him, dropped a dime, and never saw him again. I hope that girl got out. Another guy paid me an oxy to do his daughter's homework and take her to school. Her mom nodded out on the toilet. Her dad smoked crack in the other bathroom. I called CPS, but nothing came of it. The girl turned out okay, last I heard, but it's a brutal world. 20 years ago, I sold weed, ecstasy and ketamine, had a regular client. He'd show up every weekend, seemed decent enough, minus the drugs. Our quick pickups turned into long chats, sometimes 30 minutes. One day, he mentioned his toddler son, left in his van during our deals. A windowless minivan, parked in his backyard, where the kid slept. He didn't want to share his bed, feared the kid would wet it. He said it was fine, the van was locked, the kid was safe. I was done with him, told him to get lost or face a beating. He threatened to snitch, but I warned my supplier would shut that down. I called CPS anonymously, said I heard the kid crying in the van at night. I never saw him again, don't know what happened to his son. That moment hit me like a concussion, shook me to my core. I felt complicit, fueling his addiction while his kid suffered. It was a big reason I quit dealing, got my life together. I carry the guilt of contributing to that child's neglect. I was a buyer, not a dealer, but I saw things that broke me. As a kid, I lived with my mom in a San Antonio apartment. She and my dad cooked meth, blowing up kitchens until he skipped out. When mom wanted to get high, she'd lock me and my sister in our room. We'd sleep on the floor, watching VHS tapes on an old TV. She'd smoke with my aunt, leaving us and our cousin unattended. The downstairs neighbor must have called CPS, tired of feeding us. One day, cops busted in, mom and aunt screaming, handcuffed. They took us out, separated us. It happened again to my cousin later. My aunt's sober now, doing better, but those scars don't fade. I was 16, selling crack and heroin, working at Dairy Queen on the side. I used an addict's house as a base, a crack shack for dealing. He was a 50-year-old guy, had a girlfriend with a little boy, maybe 4. I felt like that kid's big brother, cooking for him when his mom was too high. One day I went to check in, found the guy dead in his room. White foam on his face, vomit dried, body cold, he'd overdosed hours ago. His girlfriend was passed out on the couch, clueless or uncaring. The kid sat there, watching TV, eating the mac and cheese I made him. I was panicking, trying to figure out my next move. I drove 2 blocks, called the cops from a prepaid phone, reported it. I watched from afar until they arrived, then left for good. That kid's face, so small and lost, haunts me every time I see mac and cheese. He's probably 16 now, maybe without a mom. I didn't kill the guy, but could he have lived longer without me? He had a wild life before drugs took over, no family to lean on. I was his friend, treated his kid like family, but it wasn't enough. Never judge someone's low point. Some people have no one to lift them up. I dealt weed, MDMA, psychedelics, and hung out at my friend's girlfriend's place. She was an on and off addict, pills, heroin, meth, you name it. She'd leave her toddler alone with anyone who showed up, sneaking off to get high. I saw the kid put cigarettes in her mouth off the floor, she'd laugh it off. I refused to smoke in her car with the kid in the back, but she didn't care. Her house had a bug problem, she'd spray her daughter's toys with bug killer. I told her it was dangerous, the kid chewed on those toys. She shrugged, said it'd toughen her up, like it was a joke. As the oldest of 9, a nanny for years, I knew kids could handle a lot. But this was reckless, dangerous, and it set off every alarm in my head. I called CPS, not to take her kid, but to get someone to watch out for her. It cost me a friend, but that little girl was worth more. I couldn't be around that neglect anymore, it broke my mental state. I still fear for her, wondering where she is now. I was at a friend's daughter's birthday party, selling weed back then. His sister dropped off her 3-week-old son to go score heroin. It was January in Michigan, and the baby had just a dirty diaper and thin blanket. No diaper bag, no supplies, just left him and walked away. I had diapers for my own kid, but they were too big, size 4s. I bought him formula, left the party, and called CPS soon after. He was taken, placed with a foster family, and she's still on heroin. I almost kidnapped him myself, thought I could raise him better. That moment still eats at me, I should have done more. I'm 3.5 years sober now, my legal troubles behind me. I dealt meth, never trusted clients enough to visit their homes. But one mom kept calling, and after months, I felt safe going to her place. It was child tax day, and I had no idea she had a kid. The house reeked of cigarettes, sweat, and worse, piss and feces everywhere. Broken glass littered the floor, burn marks scarred the carpet. The TV was smashed, the bathroom door torn off its hinges. In the hallway, A toddler waddled, naked, covered in his own feces. He was gray, malnourished, barely alive. The mom handed me money like it was nothing, oblivious to the horror. I pocketed the meth, told her to buy diapers, and cut her off. I called a social worker friend, gave her every detail, name, address, everything. The kid was taken, the mom went to jail. I see his face every day, praying he found a better life. I wasn't a hero, I fueled addiction, ruined lives. But I'm not that person anymore, and I fight to be better every day.